Going on, everybody? So I have the Ej251 and Ej203 hybrid. Just kind of a recap of everything that had to happen to make this engine work in this car. The intake, injectors, electrical and fuel system are all off the 2.5, along with oil pan and dipstick. I swapped the tube over to, even though it's basically the same length as the original engine. Some various hoses and plugs got swapped. The water neck had to be transferred as well. The Pcv system, I think it'll probably work out. It's a 2-hose setup, but the old engine only uses 1 hose, so I just kind of stuck a piece of silicone hose here and shoved a bolt down into it and a hose clamp, so that should work. And if it doesn't, I'll figure something else out later. As far as anything I've done to this engine, did new valve cover gaskets and spark plug tube seals. While I had everything off, I adjusted the valves, 20 thousandths intake, 25 exhaust. Timing belt got done. All the pulleys were torqued to 29 foot-pounds per factory spec. Torqued the crank belt to 130. All the bolts that attach the intake manifold are at 19 foot-pounds. Bolts for valve covers are at 5. The baffle, oil pickup, and oil pan bolts all got torqued 5 pounds, except for the oil pickup bolts are 7. Really all I have left to swap is the air conditioning brackets off the old engine. It's different than this one was. I have to put the EGR pipe on and change the rear main seal once I get it off the stand. But I went ahead and pulled the oil separator plate off the back of the case and resealed that too. And I'll put the plug wires and everything on it once I have the engine in the car and the fresh oil filter when I go to fill it. I had to swap the lower radiator hose neck because the timing belt and water pump that it supplied was for the USDM model, and its water pump was different than the JDM. Trying to think there's really anything else other than just various hoses that were a little different. I did not swap the crank sensor. I think it's the exact same sensor as what came out of the old engine, and I broke the one on the old engine, so fingers crossed that works out. But I did swap the cam sensor, even though I also think that is the same. The knock sensor was a 1-wire compared to a 2-wire that came off of this engine. Oil pressure sensor or switch I replaced with the original one. New PCV valve, obviously, and that's pretty much it. So I didn't get a chance to film any of this when I was putting everything together. I had a chance the other night to kind of slip down in here and have a time to basically thrash on it. I did do the walnut blast on the intake ports, which I meant to video, but it did work out really well. And I think what I'll do in the future is probably just use this old engine here when I get it back on the stand, and I can get some better lighting to kind of show what it's doing. And I'll blast those out just to kind of give an example of how that works. But yeah, did pretty good job. So this engine should be in the car sometime soon. Got kind of a busy week, so we'll just have to see. But anyway, there it is.